Hello, football fans. Hello, Gooners. Welcome to In the North Bank. We've got a bit of a different show for you tonight. It's about the PGMOL. Basically, we're not happy with how they were operating last season, and we've come up with some ideas that could possibly help them next season and make it a lot better for everybody. So I'll just give you a quick stat. Apparently, last season there were 13 reported errors made by VAR last season. Nine of them being mistakes, and there was only 4 apologies. So it's not very good the way it's running, the way it's being run. So as I say, we've come up with some ideas that will hopefully help the referees to do a better job next season. So get in the chat with us and let us know what you think. If you agree with these ideas that we've come up with and what the guys are going to talk about tonight. And talking about the guys, I'm just going to introduce them now. We've got Statman Richard. How you doing, Statman?
Very good, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. I've also got some brothers from over the other side of the world. We've got Daniel. How you doing, Daniel? Long time no see. Hope you had a good holiday, mate. Daniel, have you gone mute? Have you got me on mute?
I think I'm getting feedback. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you're not getting it from me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How you doing? How was your holiday, mate? You all right?
Good. I'm good.
Good. And then, of course, we've got the man in black down there.
Yeah, the family, everybody.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Cronky Jr. What's up, y'all?
We've got Cronky Jr., the man in black with the shades, alien hunter, submarine captain. Brian, how you doing, mate? How's the family? Are they good?
Oh, they're doing good, man. They're doing good. Actually, just got the Bubs the brand new kits for this year, and today to daycare they wore their kits and their shorts, so they're pretty much full kit wankers right now. So I'm excited about that.
Your kids have class, mate. That's all I can say. Your kids have class. Okay, so Richard, do you want to start with the first point that you want to make, mate, and we'll crack on?
Yeah, I mean, this is really about the lawmakers making sure that the referees understand that their only responsibility is to uphold and enforce the laws of the game. They're not up there to uphold the spectacle of the game. The spectacle firmly rests on the two teams facing each other and the manager. Just uphold and enforce the laws of the game. Along with that, try and make the rules unambiguous where possible, so that it's not open to interpretation, to make their decision making easier.
Right, okay. What do you guys think of what Richard's just said in that first state? I'll start with you, Daniel. What do you think?
The network was breaking. I really didn't hear what you were saying. Sorry.
Do you want to say it again? Do you want to say it again, Richard? So
yeah.
Daniel can hear
So
you.
Literally, make sure the officials understand their role. That they're only responsible to uphold and enforce the laws of the game. They're not there to ensure there's a good spectacle. The ensuring of a good spectacle is down to the two teams facing each other and the managers and coaches of those two teams. When you're writing rules, where possible, make them unambiguous, so they're not open to multiple interpretations, leading to different interpretations of the laws during the game and from game to game.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, good evening, guys. Good evening, everybody. I think my introduction didn't really go well. The network was kind of breaking up. So what you said, Richard, is actually nice. It's actually a good idea, but I don't think it's new to us, because that's how referee are supposed to be. And most of the laws sometimes are put in there to make it a spectacle. I don't think the IFAB or people controlling football really want a referee that is dormant in the whole of the game, because they thrive on controversies. The Premier League and other football thrive in controversy. Where there's no controversy, people don't talk about the sport that much. It doesn't make it more attractive for people to watch. But if they should go by what you're saying, I think it will help the referee It will help the game better. It will make the game be more of the footballers than the referees because actually nobody pays their money, their pounds, their dollars to come watch a referee officiate a game. They all come to watch the 22 players and the substitute play football. So it's actually nice. It's actually good. It's just a matter of if they will do that, and I don't think they will do that.
Brian, what do you think?
Hey, what's wrong with Mark? I don't know what's wrong with that dude. No, so I'm really, so it reminds me a lot of, I think it was the 2010 World Cup final between the Netherlands and Spain. And I remember in like the first 10 minutes, whatever it was, Nigel de Jong came in boot high, like spiked one of the dudes right in the chest. And the whole thing was they didn't want to ruin the game by sending him off that early. And Richard, to your point, no, the referees should not make it, they shouldn't be involved in the spectacle. They should, they should enforce the laws of the game, and coming in studs up like that, just wrecking somebody, that should be a straight red card. Enforce the laws of the game. Yes, we may not necessarily know what a handball is, but I think that goes to any league where you still have those issues. But yes, follow the laws the way they are. You use your head to interpret them, but follow the laws.
The thing is, I will say one thing on it. It's like the thing that's annoying for me is like having a rule at the beginning of the season and then sort of like a month, maybe 2 months in, saying, "Oh, that rule doesn't matter anymore." You know what I mean? That's really annoying. And that's where I think that's where they're totally messing people about, and they're messing the teams
Yeah,
about.
and that is a point I've got down. But instead of just enforcing it for 1 or 2 weeks, have it for the whole season. If it doesn't work at the end of the season, scrap it, but enforce it consistently through the season. Because I remember a few seasons ago where Stoke, when the holding in the box was a new rule, it would be penalised with a penalty, and for the first 2-3 weeks, Stoke got penalised left, right, and centre, and then they stopped doing it.
You've got to remember, guys, as well, just for the chat, you've got to remember that we're not just coming up for these ideas just for Arsenal. This is for every team in the Premier League. It's not. It has to be right across the board. Richard, do you want to go on to your next point? And then
Let me respond to that.
Go on.
Let me respond to that real quick.
Yeah, go on.
Like,
go on.
yes, we want the rules to be enforced, at all times. What I would say is, if you are doing a change in the interpretation of the rule during the season, then come out and say, come out and straight up say, this isn't working. This isn't the way it was supposed to be. Like I would be more okay with that if they would say, hey, we got it wrong, instead of just arbitrarily saying, hey, we're going to do it. Like the Declan Rice red card. That was absolutely ridiculous. We all knew it was ridiculous, but there was nothing where they came out and said, hey, we got this one wrong. If they would come out and said, hey, we got it wrong, okay, cool. It sucks that it happened to us, but we know going forward how the rules are going to be enforced, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Richard, before you go on, sorry, go on.
Brian, to contribute to your point, I just feel the people controlling football, they feel too big, or let's say they feel too important to communicate with the fans, and that's the reason why I don't think they don't come out to tell you that, oh, we got this wrong, and probably they might be thinking that if we come out and say we've got this wrong and let's change it, the fans may question if our judgment about the rules of the game is actually legit, because I don't see any reason why they shouldn't have come out and say, okay, fine, we got this kicking of the ball, delaying or restart wrong, and we're going to amend it. I think the fans would have accepted it more, but I just feel they see themselves too important to the game, and they don't want to see themselves as screwing the game. Rather, they feel they hold the knife, they hold the cutlass, and hold everything about football.
Right,
Well, I
Richard.
mean that goes to Richard's point where referees should not be the spectacle, and to echo what you said, if they come out and say, "Hey, we got it wrong," that would show that they understand that they're not supposed to be, dictating everything that happens in the game, and I think it would give the referees a lot more credibility,
Yeah.
to admit, "Hey, we got it wrong. We're going to do better in the future."
Right, guys. So I just want to point out this in the chat from Paul. 1 vote pre-season for all laws. For the season, then you have analyze it going into a new season. You can analyze going into a new season. Yeah, he makes a good point. Make the vote
Yeah.
before the season starts and stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once it's voted, stick to it. Yeah. Would you agree, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Richard, do you want to make your
Long-
second? So
As
go on,
long
Danny.
as long as the 20 teams and the EFL they all accept the rules, this is what we're going to do. No matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how favorable it is to some teams, they should continue it. Because I don't see any reason why you don't continue it towards the middle of the season. Because at the end of the day, some teams might have lost points because of the rules that got started with. So you changing it in the middle of the season is going to rub some teams off. Because let's take for instance, Arsenal is my team. Arsenal could have gotten some points last season, clearly against Brighton, if what's his name, the striker Joao Pedro was sent off for kicking the ball away, and what's his name, Declan Rice wasn't sent off, so we could have gotten something from that game. So I don't think it's favorable whereby you stop the rules toward the middle of the game. I feel once it's been voted by the clubs that we're going to accept these rules, it should continue to the ending of the season, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how fans are shouting about it. It should continue. That's my opinion, I think.
Right. Okay. Cool. So we need to move on to the second point now. Richard, take it away, bro.
Yeah, so this is sort of three in one. Officials to be better trained physically in all aspects and in all aspects of the game, with age range of officials from 25 to 45. After 45, instead of yearly tests on physical fitness, that should change to 6 monthly. Anyone failing a physical fitness test should be assigned as an assistant linesman or put onto VAR duties. Also, a bigger pool of officials to help with clubs not getting one official overseeing 6 or 7 games of their games in the season, because familiarity breeds contempt, as the saying goes. More support for officials and players who receive threats and abuse about race, religion, sexuality, and making sure those perpetrators of that, those that are online abuses or in stadiums, are caught, banned from matches, social media, and fined or imprisoned. And the other one is fines or other punishment for referees and their bodies for failure to improve their standards. More accountability.
But who's gonna enforce those standards?
There needs to be a independent panel.
So what you're saying right now, Richard, we have to separate it in 3 ways. Firstly, the referee standard, which is their health-wise, their fitness, and also the abuses the referee get, the protection from the referee, and also their ability to officiate the game. So I think the Premier League has rules and regulation when it comes to fitness and training for the referees. I don't think I don't think in the last 3 seasons we've actually had any referees who didn't pass fitness tests or who find themselves failing for not being fit enough. But in the aspect of referee being protected, I think the referee needs to we need to make sure the referee do the last part of of your point, which is improve their standard. Because if the referee standards are improved, if a referee goes into the football game and officiate the game the way it should be, officiate the game in a correct manner and gives the right decision the right way, I don't think there will be death threats. I don't think anybody will want to beat a referee. I don't think anybody will want to send death threat to the referees and their families. So the referee needs to improve themselves firstly before we go into the aspect of protecting them. Because, in my opinion, if you don't do something wrong, nobody's going to come after you. So when you, as a person, as a referee, your standard is poor. Let me use, for instance, someone like Michael Oliver. Your standard is poor. Definitely, you're going to get people that's going to throw curses at you, throw insults at you, even people that can go as far as sending death threats to you. So I think they should improve their quality, their officiating first before we go into the aspect of protecting the referees. Well, I'm not against protecting the referee anyway.
You want to come back at that, Richard? I'll come to you in a second, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of that. What I'm saying is that the game is so fast and end to end in some cases that we need to make sure that the referees are trained to the standards and the levels that the players are at, because that will help them keep up with the game, be in the right positions, and that may help them to make better decisions. It's not always going to be the case, but that's why I was saying about the physical side.
Richard, what is Mark on about here? Richard, are you talking coming in? What's that all about? I don't understand his question, but anyway, Brian, your thoughts on what Daniel and Richard have said.
So yeah, I would absolutely agree that if they're making better decisions, then they are going to have, less likelihood of getting, terrible things said to them. But my question would be, as far as the fitness and everything, like, so I know they get graded based on their games, based on their positioning, based on keeping up with the play and everything. But number one, like, they're not footballers, and so they're not going to have the sprint speed that somebody else does. They're not going to have they're not going to have the cardio. But the question I would have is, how many times have we seen a referee with fitness issues not be able to get into the right position? Yeah, fitness tests are great, but if they are not requiring the fitness tests, then what's the benefit to giving them more fitness tests as they get older?
Well, Paul makes a good our great leader in the North Bank, Paul. I don't think fitness is an issue here. I just think nothing will change until the whole organisation, the PGMOL, accepts that it isn't a show of weakness if a mistake happens.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good statement. It really is. Very good point. So before we carry on, guys, I just want to say good evening to everybody watching on whatever platform. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Paul, I know Daniel's in there as well. Brian's in there. Mark, Emerson, everybody that sent a message. Thank you very much.
So let me get back to something.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the oversight board that we were talking about for the referees. Yes, I think we all agree that there does need to be some sort of independent oversight. One of the criticisms that I've heard, for years now, is that referees typically have not played the game. And so, on this independent board, let's say it's 5 people, right? Just for easy math. Put 2 former players on there, and they don't have to be Premier League footballers. They don't even necessarily have to be championship, but people that have played a couple seasons and have that high level experience. They're able to better interpret what a player was trying to do and how they may have messed it up. And so if you can have that insight into what the player was doing, kind of contrast that with the referees, what they think they were doing, then I think you would get a much better overview of exactly what is going on in the game with the different incidents that they may see.
No, I get that, but then does that not also mean that the technology has to be so up to date? And do you know what I mean? I mean, we're all big. like they brought in the cameras now, and they ran the grounds with the, so they don't have to draw the lines anymore. Drawing lines was a major mistake, wasn't it? It wasn't going anywhere. So the technology has to be brought up to date, and everything needs to be basically 100%, doesn't it? Richard, I'm just going to bring this question up from Mark because he typed it wrong. He says, "Sorry guys, it was meant to say, would you bring international refs in?" Rich.
Yes, a bigger pool means you get the best referees from wherever you can in the world. Better training, better fitness levels, bigger pools. Some from Germany, some from Italy, wherever in the world you can get the best referees from, you get them in.
Well, Brian, you go first. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that, and it was something that that we were talking about in the group chat earlier. If you get referees from different leagues, yes, you're going to get different perspectives on how on how they should referee. Like if you look at CONCACAF, right? If you look at if you look at South America, if you look at Mexico, like those places play prison rules. Like if there's no blood, there is no foul. And there may be a little difficulty in in corresponding that over to the Premier League or over to the Championship or whatever like that. But you will get a wider point of view, and all of that will make better referees, and it'll also make the refereeing standards, from France, from Italy, in Europe, it'll make it more uniform. So that way, when we go and play in Europe, then we're going to be playing, pretty close to the same refereeing standard.
Daniel, your thoughts on international referees?
Yeah, I'm not against international referee, and because if you look the Champions League, we have referees from different places, from Slovakia, Slovenia, Ukraine, wherever we have referees, and the standard of the Champions League officiating is miles away from the Premier League. Sometimes I ask myself, are these guys, the Premier League referee, are they not seeing what these guys are doing in the Champions League? A foul is a foul in Tokyo, same as a foul in Mexico. So I don't understand. But the Premier League, sometimes I feel they enjoy the controversy. That's all I can just say. They enjoy the controversy. Not that they don't know what to do. I feel they know what they're doing. That's my opinion. Because you can't tell me a same referee can give this decision today, not even next, on Wednesday, that same referee will not give that same decision, same position. So I just feel they know what they're doing. But I won't be against international referees because it will bring more referees to the game, and you see less referees officiated on particular teams like 7 times in a season. So the more the referees, the more the varieties.
Do you think part of just a question, guys, which I've just thought of, right? Okay, and then we'll carry on with Richard's points after this, right? Okay. Do you think part of the problem could be that the FA, it's costs? Because why bring someone over from Italy, right, to say, let's just say officiate Arsenal versus Man United as an example, right? Why bring a guy over from Italy when it'll cost you 50, 60 quid for Michael Oliver down the road? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Just using that as an example. I don't know the figures, but
I wouldn't necessarily bring them in for just one-off games. I would recruit them on a permanent basis. Is how I would. So you've got them permanently.
Mark,
And the Premier League is the richest league in the world, like by a mile. And Richard, you're gonna have to do the math for it, or do the math for me on it. But we contribute a lot to the FA, and so we should be able to afford to bring in the best referees.
I probably didn't give the best example because I was trying to keep it cheap. But do you know what I mean? It's like you've got to think how these people think. Hold on, if it's going to cost us, I don't know, let's just say £5,000 to bring a referee from Italy over, right? But you can get Howard Webb for 250 quid. I know it's not like that, but you get what I mean, don't you? They're just going to go.
Yeah,
They're going to go
get-
for the cheaper option every
I
time.
get what you mean.
Go on, Daniel. Go on. You're going to.
But yeah, I understand what you mean. But in order to make the brand better, in order to make the game well officiated, you have to
Yeah,
spend the
no, I
money.
agree. I agree.
Likewise,
I
the
agree.
football club. Likewise, a football club. For you to get the best players, you have to pay the best salaries. You have to sign the top players. So signing the referees on another end, you can have an owner like Kroenke who is rich but yet doesn't want to sign superstar players. Probably that's what the FA are. They wouldn't want to spend that big bucks on the referee from let's say from Italy because they feel they can get a new Anthony Taylor from Sweden Town who can do barely a job.
Yeah. Right.
But I think that's different because, you know, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, you know, most owners, including my dad, you know, they're going to try and run their football club at a profit.
I know exactly that you're going to bite. Immediately, I use Kroenke as an example. I knew you
You
were going to
baited
bite.
the hook, Daniel. You baited the hook.
Yeah.
Paul is saying here as well, we see European refs in UEFA competitions. It could be expanded to a longer, more defined season, but this would easily allow for the cream to rise to the top and for those to take the top games. Again, he's coming up with some very good points, this Paul. You'd think,
Right,
you'd think he'd know what he's talking about, wouldn't you? Do you know?
Well, let me finish the point. Let me finish the point that I was going to make. So, you know, a football club owner, they're going to try and make money. It's the way it is. And PGMOL, the FA, you know, I'm pretty sure those are nonprofits, and so they're not as concerned with the bottom line. They're more concerned about covering their costs. I don't know what kind of retained earnings that they have to have for the future season or whatever, but they can spend the money to get the best referees, and they either aren't or shouldn't be concerned with making money.
Right. Okay.
The PGMOL are actually contracted to the Premier League, to the FA, so it's not a non-profitable organization. They get paid, and they
I was
get
going
paid
to say,
very,
get
very
paid
well to do
don't
what
they?
they're
They don't,
doing.
you know, they don't turn up for peanuts. They don't turn up for peanuts.
Yeah, so I don't think they don't have the money to get whoever referee they want to get. I just feel, according to what Des actually said, they will probably want to go for the cheaper option.
That's the point I was
but
trying to make, but I was just trying to use an analogy of, you know, the standard of referees. You know?
but PGMOL, like as a company, you know, they're, as far as I know, they're not trying to make money for their shareholders, if that makes sense. You know, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I get what you're saying, mate. I get what you're saying. There's got.
Who said they're not trying to make money? The yellow card attracts fine. The red card attracts fine. If a club gets if a club couldn't control their players and the players round up the referee, that's a fine for the club. They try to make money as in every means, in every way. Nothing is free, Brian. Nothing is free.
Right. Oliver was paid 20k and all his cronies for one match in Saudi. Yes, the Man City owners. Yeah. Look, it's corrupt. It is corrupt. However you look at it. However you look
well, I don't think it's corrupt, but it allows that allegation to be thrown.
You don't always want to.
Daniel, let him finish and then make your point. Yeah, carry on, Richard. Go on.
Yeah, I don't think any ref's corrupt.
I respectfully disagree, but you know.
But that situation doesn't look good, and it allows those allegations to have a foundation. And
well,
that's it.
Daniel, say what you were going to say, mate, because I think I'm going to back you up here in a second. Say what you're going to say first, mate.
Yeah, I was just trying to say, Richard always do not want to accept that most of these officials are corrupt. That's what I'm trying to say. Whenever you bring the corruption playbook, Richard always try to play it down.
But Richard's a devil's advocate, mate. He's a devil's advocate. That's all he is. He's not
I just want to know, do you really believe that wholeheartedly? Do you
Yeah,
really believe
and
that? No, you can send it. No. Richard, no, you can send it in the chat. So it's between two of us. No need to
yeah,
say it to the public. Do you really believe
yeah,
that? In the chat, just put it in the chat.
yeah. I believe it. There's a reason for that. I used to write on on a website called Untold Arsenal. Now, if you go to that site, they do a hell of a lot on referee analysis. A guy called Tony Atwood was the main writer on that, and he was trying to prove bias towards Arsenal, referees bias towards Arsenal, and his articles are fantastic. But what they only ever proved was that a referee would be biased against a team that was playing at home or playing away. But they had a subconscious bias to a certain team. It wasn't an individual team. It was either the home team or an away team. Now there's stats and figures out there, and what I would say is could the PGMOL and the Premier League make sure that each team gets a fair rub, so they get a home biased referee for X amount of games, and they get when they're away, they get an away biased referee an X amount of times. So they're getting a fair rub of the decisions throughout the season.
Sorry, Richard, but Mark disagrees with you as well. All
No,
right.
that's fine.
Brian, can I let Daniel come back at Richard on that one?
Yeah, my bad.
Before you come in, mate, do you want to say anything as a return to that, Daniel?
Not really, because you actually see that in the games whereby some referees tend to favor the home teams, which we all see every day. So it's not new to me because I I take my time to study referees and how they tend to officiate a game when the team plays at home, the kind of decision they want to give, and the first yellow card always try to go to the away side, more leniency to the home team. If they make a foul, the referee tends to lean more of I won you for the first time, I won you for the second time. But if it's the away team, they tend to give the yellow. I've seen that a lot, so I'm not going to disagree with what Richard is saying in that regard.
That's cool. That's good. Brian, what were you going to say, mate? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut over.
No, that's okay. So I would disagree a little bit. I mean, conceptually, yes, they are going to have, an unconscious bias towards giving the home team the benefit of the doubt. With that being said, specifically looking at Michael Oliver, right? I don't remember all the stats off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that Michael Oliver has given more red cards per game refereed to Arsenal. Same thing with yellow cards. And then you remember back to the City game, I can't remember if it was last year or year before last, where Kovacic came in. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. He came in on I think Rice at first, got a yellow.
First on
okay, all right. So the second one was on Rice, but you know what I'm saying? Like that second challenge by Kovacic should have been a second yellow, and it was still in the first half. And if there was the unconscious bias towards being tougher on the away team, then Kovacic would have gotten that second yellow. Like it wouldn't have been a thing. And so I think individual referees, I don't think it's corrupt. I don't think it's corruption. But I do think that certain referees look at certain teams different ways.
Go on.
You don't think it's corruption, right? So how do you explain that same Michael Oliver has never given a penalty against Manchester City and he's officiating Manchester City more than 15 times? And that same Michael Oliver has never sent a Manchester City player off in all his games officiated against Manchester City. And that same Michael Oliver has given more red card against a team he is officiating against Manchester City. And you don't see a corruption, you don't see a pattern in that. Right?
I'm not saying I don't see a pattern. And to Mark's point, that he just put in the chat about Michael Oliver getting paid to ref games overseas. Yes, I think there is a distinct possibility, but would I necessarily say it's corrupt where, he's essentially getting paid to give different results to different teams? No, I don't think that's the case. I think that is a case where it is an unconscious bias, but I wouldn't necessarily say,
How,
oh,
how does it go from? Sorry, bro, I've got a
Right.
question. I have got questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
How does it go
okay.
from
Okay.
not being corrupt to an unconscious bias?
because I don't
You
think,
can't give an unconscious bias. You can't. You know what you're doing. You know your actions, right? I
but like,
don't. Sorry, bro. I don't understand
okay.
this unconscious bias.
Can I come in on that point
Well,
in a minute?
hang on.
I'll let
Hang on.
Brian go first.
Yeah, you can come in afterwards.
So,
Richard, no problem.
so when I think corruption, right? I
Mhm.
think that it's specifically, hey, here's 10,000 pounds. You need to be tougher on this team.
Yeah.
Or you need to be easier on this team. Like I don't think that that's the case. I think that it's unconsciously, hey, because I went and did X, I should do Y. I don't think that there's any money that's being changed hands to specifically impact those decisions or lack thereof.
Oh,
You understand? You understand the term quid pro quo, right?
Yeah, but quid pro quo means something
Next,
specifically for something
yeah,
else.
yeah. You don't need to spell it out. You don't need to say it out loud to tell the person that I'm giving you this, so you give me this. But it's so obvious that a referee who is being paid by the same organization that owned Manchester City to come officiate one game and the side is for 20K has never given a red card against that team, has given more penalty to that team, has given more red card against against a team
that
playing
wasn't
that particular
unconscious.
team.
That wasn't
I,
unconscious.
I yeah, I understand. I understand the fact that there's no evidence to prove, no evidence in black and white paper to prove that yes, Michael Oliver was paid to be biased or paid to be corrupt. I understand that fact. But if one thing keeps on happening over and over and over again, one would want to think that come on, there's
Well,
something going
let's
on.
Richard. What did you want to say, mate? Because
Yeah.
everybody's had their say now. So
The quick, easiest analogy is that if all the media outlets are saying Team A are soft and fall over at the slightest touch, or Team B is a dirty team, and every media outlet puts that out, and then the referees read the papers, they listen to the news. That plays in their mind. So when they officiate it, they might not be, but they will be subconsciously when a foul happens. Oh, he's feigning it. It's because everyone says they're soft.
see,
But that's the point that I'm making. Like Richard and I are in agreement on that one.
I want to counter you on that, Richard. I want to counter you on that. If you're saying that, so what is the use of VAR?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah.
So what is the No. You're saying that because it has played in the referee's mind subconsciously that a team A tends to fall on easy, and when the foul happens to that team, the referee tends not to give the foul because he thinks because of what the media has said that the team they're full of divers in the team, so he's not going to give a penalty for that team. So what happens to the VAR after such thing happening? Probably the referee might play in the referee's mind. So what happened to the VAR not seeing it and calling the referee that, come on, Michael, there's a foul here. I think you need to look at it again. If not, the old chain, if not that the whole thing is being played out to be one. So I don't think it's anything like subconsciously biased. For me, it's corruption. And I was for that, though I
Yeah,
don't
no,
have
that's
evidence.
fair enough.
Okay,
But
allegedly.
what you have to remember is that they have a threshold of what they're going to call as a foul. So, and they might look at a certain foul as not reaching that threshold because that team, in their mind, because they've read something, that team goes over too easily.
I haven't got a problem with what you guys are saying, right? But I have a problem with the words subconscious decision, right? That's the bit I have the problem with, because end of the day, the referee's decision is final. It's not subconscious. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants. He or she, they know what they want. This subconscious is giving them an excuse. That's how I see it. And they are corrupt, because look at it. Let me break it down just quickly, and then we definitely have to move on, right? When Declan Rice kicked the ball away, which he didn't actually do, he was passing it to a player, got sent off. Yeah. Within 4 weeks of that getting sent off, they changed the rule. Yeah. So they are corrupt. And I sorry, Brian, I don't agree with this subconscious statement, because end of the day, you referee something, right, for your kids. Let's say you're refereeing a kids match. You're gonna say you're gonna stand there with them kids or men, whatever the case may be. But I was just in case your kids ever play football, right? You're gonna stand there and you're gonna say, no, that was a foul, free kick. That's not subconscious. You know what you're doing. And I don't think referees just don't walk around the pitch going, oh, do I need to? No, they make decisions. Bang. There's no subconscious. It's a load of rubbish. I've got to say that. And I agree with that. Corrupt.
And to add, and to add to your to your point, there's nothing like subconsciousness. You are a referee to officiate on facts. The fact is the player has been kicked is a foul. The fact is the player has dived, a yellow card for diving. The fact is the ball entered the net and it's a goal. So referees are supposed to officiate on fact and not on some cautious thing because the media says some things in the papers for
right, guys. We have to move on. Right, Richard, I want to jump to point 8, mate. Right.
Yeah.
Regarding the microphones, do you want to expand on that point for me, please?
Yeah, it goes in with all the technology. Referees need help, and VAR and with the mics as well are there to get the referee to the right decision, not back them up, not to make them silly. So with ref mics, you have whenever there's a major decision, you have a button that links you to the in-stadium tannoy system, so that they can explain the decision when you're going through the VAR process. I'd also like ref cams, so that you get to see what the ref sees full speed. You don't ever get to see, you don't get that footage, never gets slowed down. You only see what the referee sees from the angle he's at that time at his speed, because the eyes are easily fooled. These were why magicians with slight hand tricks could
Well, with
get
the
away
Club
with
World.
it.
No, go ahead. Sorry, Richard. Sorry.
Yeah, and then the last thing as well is that all this should be done in stadium on the big screen so that the fans can see. Now, this won't make the fans in the stadium any more happier, because they're fans and they're not going to like a decision going against their team. But when they go home the following that night and watch Match of the Day, and they've had time to think of it, it will give them a bit more understanding, and it builds clarity and transparency.
Well,
and trust.
Well, I've been making the terrible mistake of watching the Club World Cup over here. But they, like right now, they do have the ref cams. They do have the ref, like if they go to VAR, they'll come out of VAR and they'll say what the decision was. I think it's going a little bit too far to pipe into the stadium, the discussions between VAR and the ref. But I do like the idea of putting, the camera angles and whatever like that on the screens, so that way the fans can see what is going on. In terms of the way the ref cam and the VAR and the announcing the decisions so far, I think it's actually worked really well. We may not necessarily agree with the decisions that are made, but at least they're saying, hey, there was a foul for number 25 from Porto. committed a foul in the box, therefore it's a penalty. Something like that.
Mark says paying fans are the last ones to know that it's wrong.
Yeah, and that's my point. The people that pay and make these people money
Daniel, do
are
you
the
want
ones
to
that suffer.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I just want to Mark actually say what I wanted to say, because I don't really have a problem with the ref explaining their decision. But what I would love to hear is the decision process, whereby the decision has been taken, the VAR record the referees to the monitor, then the whole stadium
I
hears
agree.
what he's saying
I
from there.
I agree.
Okay, that's, for me, that's the best thing. And also, there's something I don't know if it was part of the point, since we're talking about the referees and talking about VAR. I would love a situation whereby the VAR is in the stadium to feel
Not in a
the
van in the
atmosphere
car
of the
park.
stadium,
Not,
making decisions.
yeah, do you know what I mean?
Not somewhere in Stockley Park where nobody knows what is going on, because most times the referees in the stadium can understand the tension in the game, to understand what is going, because of how the fans react. I believe if the VAR is also there, decisions can go the same way with the referee. I don't like the idea that the VAR is somewhere in Lagos while they're playing the match here in London.
But
I think
then you get
Yeah.
but then you'll get the problem, like Richard was saying, where overall the home team is going to get more favorable calls. And if we're saying that we want the laws of the game applied equally, then you almost need them out of the fan environment.
Like I said, when Richard made that point, home team getting favorable calls has been in football since when I started watching football. So I don't think there's any. Why do you think? Arsenal is going to play Barcelona today? The odds is going to show Arsenal at home is going to show 1.90, but Arsenal going away to Barcelona at home is going to show 3 point something, because isn't the fans, everything builds up to the atmosphere, whereby the referees gives you some lenient call. I actually said it. I'm not against that. Sometimes when we go away to Newcastle, I know definitely the Newcastle fans, I'm going to pounds on the referee, you're going to make some decisions because they are home team. I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem whereby there's a foul, and the referee should blow the foul, and he doesn't blow the foul. That's my problem. So I
do have a problem with that, because if we're saying we want the laws of the game applied equally, it goes back to my whole thing about penalties, right? Everybody says, oh, there should be a higher standard for a foul in the box. No, if it's a foul one place on the pitch, it should be a foul everywhere on the pitch. And if you're going to call a foul on one team, you should call a foul on the other team, no matter where you are. That's applying the laws of the game equally.
Do you know why that's not going to work? To score a goal in a 90 minutes game, it's very difficult. If to score a goal in a game is very difficult. If I shove a player in the middle of the park, the referee can actually call for a foul. But that same shoving can't make you score a goal, because we're running the same ball and it gives you a shoulder badge and you fall to the ground, because the referee is going to give that in the middle of the park, going to give you a goal. No, it's not going to be. It's not that simple. Because to actually score a goal where 22 people are chasing after the ball is actually very, very difficult. So actually give a goal because of such flimsy fouls, for me, I don't think is the right way. The threshold for penalty should be higher for me. Should be higher. Not
You still got to score the pen, though.
No,
You
not the
still got to
one.
score the pen.
Not the one. David Lewis is running, and some worst players who touched the knees of David Lewis, and the referee giving the penalty. Same. Your friend Michael Oliver.
But that wasn't a foul in the first place.
It wasn't.
I remember what you're talking about, and that wasn't a foul in the first place.
But there was a contact. There was actually a contact. So for all the referees, man, there was a contact, and you're stopping the clear going opportunity. For me, I think the threshold for penalty should be high. That's my opinion, and such penalties like that should be given.
Can I just get back to the cameras and the mic for us just for 1 second?
Yeah.
I'll just give my 2 pence worth on it. I think if you've mic'd the ref up, it works in rugby. It's worked in rugby for years. It's worked in rugby for years, right? if you've got cameras as well that see what the referee see. For me, and I can only speak for me, it legitimizes the decision. It
Yeah.
absolutely legitimizes the decision, and it would speed the game up. It would really speed the game up. I think that is an absolute ball changer, game changer. It needs to be in the game. It needs to be implemented. Plus, the fans do need to know what's being said and do need to know why that decision has come to that decision. How much better would you feel if you knew what was going on instead of going, well, why is he? How many times do you turn around and you say, why is the referee given that? It cuts all that out of the game. It really does cut all that out of the game. Mark, thank you for joining us. I believe you want to say something.
Yeah, I do. It's going back to I think this is a clear pathway. I've heard all the talking points tonight, and this is a clear pathway where it has to change, and it's an obvious one. And I'm just going to add to what you just said about rugby. It's TMO, and what happens in TMO? Well, what happens in Premier League at this moment is if it's not a clear and obvious error by the referee whose mate is in VAR, then it won't be overturned and it won't be looked at. I think that's completely wrong because VAR could then take a back step and all the blame goes on to the referee. So while I've got opinions on certain referees, I think they get too much pressure put on them during the game because VAR back away from the situation. It's not a clear and obvious situation, or it's not a clear and obvious error, so they don't get involved. Where rugby comes, the referee who doesn't have cameras in front of him speaks out on the microphone system that Richard has elaborated to, and 100% the paying customers in every stadium deserve to be the first to know rather than anyone at home watching the same game.
Agree.
That is disgusting. That's a fact. Some of the decisions take up to 5 minutes. But what happens in TMO, which is the most beautiful thing ever, there's the blame gets taken away. The referee will say to TMO, can you have a look at point A, point B, and point C, please? They'll come back with point A, point B, and point C, and then they'll say, I would recommend this decision. So that it's taken away from the referee. The referee is guiding VAR rather than VAR guiding the referee. And the Premier League, richest league in the world, is completely getting it wrong. Now, I don't personally know if that's something that you have to go for the FIFA, UEFA to be able to bring in place, if it has to be across the whole spectrum of football, but someone needs to make this change. It is fucking ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Sorry, Brian, interject.
Oh no. So maybe this is getting ahead of the discussion, and maybe it's a point that Richard's going to bring up. But there's one thing that the NFL does really well. They have a challenge system. And there's certain plays that they can challenge, whether it's an incomplete pass, out of bounds, whatever like that. And I think the coaches get like 2 challenges per half, right? And if you lose a challenge, you lose that challenge. And then you only have 1 challenge left for the rest of the half. And then if you get 1 challenge right, then you get an extra challenge for a maximum of 3 challenges per half. And we keep talking about clear and obvious error, this, that, and the other. Put that in the hands of the coaches, put that in the hands of the managers, put that in the hands of the players. So that way it takes away from the corruption that Daniel may be talking about.
Brian, what you could do there, bro, you make good points, don't get me wrong, but what you could do there, you could follow rugby, because if someone throws a punch in rugby, as an example, if someone throws a punch in rugby, right, the referee will call the captain over and say, right, speak to your team. Yeah, calm your team down. That needs to be done in football as well. If Arsenal do something wrong, so the referee needs to call Odegaard over and say, right, you know what's happened. This has happened. I don't want it to happen again. Have a word with your team. Yeah?
Oh, I agree. And that'd be great.
That works as well. Right, guys, genuinely, we're running out of time, and I'm really sorry because we could probably go on for another hour, but we are actually running out of time. I think we've got about 3 more points to make. Is it, Richard, or 4? 4?
Yeah,
maybe
about
4.
3 or 4. Yeah. It's,
Right.
I mean,
Go on to the amber cards, mate.
yeah. So it's touching on the point Brian was making earlier. Amber cards for simulation, 15 minutes off pitch. The referees have caused this problem where players dive because they don't give fouls when they're obvious fouls, especially in the penalty box. The player stays on his feet and carries on. It's still a foul. It's still a penalty. Should give it. But you've got to do it in conjunction with the amber card. If there is clear simulation, send the player off for 15 minutes or whatever. And players will soon stop doing it because they'll get fined by their clubs. They'll lose games, and it should improve. All these little flicks of the leg to get, and when somebody pushes their head into somebody, he's broke my nose and rolled over for 400 times, like he's got no nose left.
Right, I'm going to go first, just for a change. I'm going to go first. Don't actually agree with this one, and the reason I don't agree with it, sorry, Rich, the reason I don't agree with it is because you're changing the game too much.
No, that's fair enough. I get that,
and it's not football anymore. Do you know what I mean?
To me, you're lucky you said this point. If not, you wouldn't have had something to say.
I'm genuinely thinking this is the only one I disagree with, by the way, Rich. But I genuinely think it changes the game too much, and it's not football anymore. But I'm going to let you guys talk about it. Mark, we'll let you go first, mate. Go on. What do you think about that?
No, Des, I don't want to overshoot the show, so I'm just going to agree with you. I feel like it's too much involved. They can't even get the basics right. Started giving them amber cards. The game's gone, in my opinion. So no thanks.
Yeah. Daniel, your thoughts?
I was just saying, you've said my mind. I feel the changes to football will make no longer football, like you rightly said. And I just believe if this referee actually applies the laws of football in the right way, I don't think Richard will be calling for an amber card. I don't think anybody will be calling for a foul for simulation, because we'll actually be enjoying the game as it is. So probably back to the Richard, your second point, the referee needs to improve their standards. But if the referee standards are okay, we wouldn't be here doing the PGMOL review on what to do and what not to do, because their standard is actually poor. That's why we're here doing this show.
Brian, your thoughts?
So I actually agree with both sides. What I will say is that the laws of the game are constantly changing. Yes, the referee standards need to get better, so that way you're not going to have the simulation, or the simulation is going to get called out. I do like the idea of getting somebody sent off for a definite period of time for that. I would say 15 minutes is too long. However, whatever time would work. I think that's a good idea, but I understand both sides here.
Right, okay. So I'm going to move on quickly. Richard, keep it brief, mate. Time wasting.
We lose a lot of time and games as fans over a season through time wasting. So my idea is set a time, 70 minutes, say, the ball has to be in play. And fourth official times, each time, each team has the ball for a set piece in their goalkeeper's hand. And if they break that 10 minutes, after 3 games, they have a £600,000 fine. And that continues every game. It's kept in a pot. The club keeps it in a pot. And at the end of the season, they have to refund all season ticket holders X amount of money from that pot. They divvy it up between all their season ticket holders. Is the easiest way I can do it. So it's forcing the clubs to improve improve the amount of time the ball's in play. We've tried lots of other ways, but it to work.
I don't see how. That's
Can
quite
I go?
deep. That's quite in depth. Can you see the clubs doing that? Of
Yeah, can I go first?
course, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, what you're saying right now, Richard, is actually for the fans to benefit. And you and I know that whenever it comes to the fans, they don't care. As long as it doesn't put money back in the club's pocket, they don't care. Anything that's going to take money from their pocket, they won't do it. They're not going to enforce it. But actually, in the aspect of keeping to time, I'll prefer a stop clock, hereby when the ball is out of play, you stop the clock. That for me would be more ideal for this club, because they're not going to lose money. But in a situation where they are going to lose money to the fans, they won't do that. I know they won't do that because they don't care about the fans. They only care about taking money from the fans.
It's a great
problem you're
idea,
gonna have-
Richard. I just
problem
don't
you're
know
gonna
how
have-
they're going to. I don't know how they would implement it. You know what I mean? And how do you keep track of it? How do
So that would be down to a
yeah, but how do the
official
fans
with a
keep track? How do the
2-2
fans
check
keep
box.
track of it as well? You know.
But the problem you're going to have with that is that you're going to have players running, and we're already talking about too much football. We're already talking about players getting injured. You don't want to do anything that could possibly add to that.
Right. So we're going to move on to the. We've got two more.
Can
Guys.
I not say anything on that?
No, not really, because you came in too late. But go on then quickly.
No, I just think it's an absolute nonsense idea. The fans in the football stadium at the moment, time gets added on, and that's there. I think, Richard, what you're trying to do, and I was going to raise the point that Brian said. I think the ball's in play. I'm not going to start us off right up my head at the moment, but I think the ball's in play during the game for something like 48 minutes, and you're trying to raise that to 70. How much is it, Daniel?
Right.
So, Daniel, how many minutes is it normally?
Average 43 minutes.
43 minutes, yeah. So you're as Brian raised the point, and he's absolutely correct. You're asking the ball being played for a further 27 minutes. That's only going to enhance the amount of pressure on a player during one game. And when that happens, you're going to lead to more ACLs and more injuries.
But how?
That's fair enough,
But aren't
also-
these players training for 90 minutes of football? Aren't they training for 90 minutes of football? So what's the big deal about keeping the game in
No,
70 minutes?
they're training for 90 minutes. They're not training for
No, I mean they are training
training
to
for
play.
2 hours.
They're training to play a 90 or 120 minutes of
Right,
football.
but listen, they're not doing that for like 60 games a season. So they're like they're training to get their fitness levels up to a point. But when you're seeing the average minutes that the ball's actually in play, I think it's a nonsense idea. The only way that you can make that work, go ahead, do it, put pressure on. Tennis has come back to my head.
No, I think
Get all the
it can,
players to take a pay cut. No, Daniel, what do you want?
it can actually work, Mike. It can actually work.
You can rebut as soon as they finish, bro. Right? Ask all the players in the Premier League to take a pay cut, and then we could introduce more players into our squads, and then we'll reduce the levels of injury. This would only enhance the injuries to our players. You can rebut now, Daniel. Have a bit of respect, bro.
I wasn't having the goal at you. I was just making you understand. These players, they train to be fit for 90 minutes of football. So them not giving that 90 minutes of football, they're shortchanging the fans. The fans are losing money. The fans are not getting the entertainment they're going there to see. So how do you go and watch 90 minutes of football and you only get an average of 43 minutes while the ball is in play? It doesn't work that way. I'm not saying it's going to work whereby the club take that money and give back to the fans. It's not going to work because like I said earlier, when it comes to the fans taking money from the club, there's no way the club is going to do that. But if you, let's say, have the stop clock whereby the ball should be in play for 70 minutes, you have a stop clock And when the ball goes out for a throw-in or a goal kick, the time is paused. For me, I think that will work better because at the end of the day, these players are training, these players are athletes. They're training to play for 90, 120 minutes, so I don't see any problem that.
Yeah, and my thing is part of the point is that with Daniel saying it's in for 48 minutes. That's nearly half a match. You have a season ticket holder pays for 38 games in the Premier League season, so they're really only getting 19 games.
No,
in the
a season ticket
They're-
holder
they're-
pays for 19 games in a season, Richard. Half the games are at home.
So
Half the games are at home. And the season ticket holder still
Yeah.
getting his value because he's in that stadium for almost like an hour, 2 hours.
but he's not
The ball's
getting
not in play.
a whole game
Yeah,
of
he is.
football,
Of
is he?
course he is. Because you get 10 to 15 minutes added on time per game. And this is only Premier League games that I'm talking. Do you want to add this to 60
Do
games
you
over the
do,
course of a
do you
season?
think do you think
You're
do
going to
you
be
I'm only
watching.
talking
You're
about
going
Premier
to,
League
you're
anybody
games.
going to be
goes
talking. Daniel's 2 seconds again. You're interjecting me again. I'm not even in my point, bro. Please.
No, you
Rick.
you are actually going off the point because nobody goes into the football field to watch players warm up. No players, no fans go into the stadium to watch a halftime show. The fans go into the stadium to watch the footballers play for 90 minutes. So you're talking about training, watching them 15 minutes before the game, spending 2 hours in the stadium. Fuck,
I didn't mention any of that,
who,
but thank
who
you for
cares?
interrupting me twice, Daniel. You're showing your rudeness. Put yourself on mute, bro. Honestly.
Trying to get his
Oh,
cards out.
mute.
No, don't say
No,
that.
put yourself on
Don't say
mute.
that.
Put
Don't say
yourself
that.
on fucking mute.
No, you shouldn't say that. You're
No,
pissing me off,
all you
man.
no, but I don't care. There's twice you've done it. Watch the podcast back and you'll see what you've just done. Richard, the point I was making, I didn't any entertainment show or anything like that. We played 45 minutes of football. During that, the ball goes out. First half, the referee, the fourth official, puts the clock up to say how many minutes are added. There's a 15-minute break, obviously. I don't watch any entertainment. Outside that,
Thank you, Paul.
you get the 45 minutes. The next, Paul's only saying that because I went
Thank
at him.
you, Paul.
He was talking.
It's actually Paul's
See,
actually saying
you're
the fact.
interjecting me again. What is the point of being on a podcast if you're going to keep doing this, mate? It's the third time. Dan, Brian, the men yellow cards that you're giving them. Honestly, stop it.
Too many.
It's actually annoying me now when I've got this on here, so I don't want to raise my voice. Stop. Right? So
You can
the
actually
second
lose your
half,
voice if you want to lose your voice.
the second half,
Daniel, let
You
him,
can
let
actually,
him
you can
say his,
actually lose your voice if you want to lose
Daniel,
your
let
voice.
him say his thing, bro. Let him say his thing.
the second half,
He's saying trash.
Let him Daniel, let him finish. Let him finish.
Okay.
Go, Mark. Floor's yours.
I'm sorry if you can't control your guests, I'll just keep my mouth shut. It's okay.
No. Say what you were going to say. I can control my guests. Say what you're going to say. I just asked him to stop. Okay, then. Fair enough. We'll move on.
Because
Right.
he wanted to say trash.
Point number 12, Richard.
Yeah, again, this is. I mean, this is about more controlling their players and not surrounding officials, and there being some sort of penalty for more than just the captain surrounding an official. Maybe clubs being fined, maybe points being deducted, or the players actually receiving a fine for more than the captain just surrounding a referee when they're challenging for a decision. The idea that Brian brought up about having a challenge system, that could be that the captain goes up and says, "I want that one reviewed," and it would stop, because you see certain teams do it, get away with it. Back in the early 90s, it was Man United, where they'd have 11 or 12 players around an official, and a smaller side would, like a Stoke or a Bolton, wouldn't get away with it. I'm talking about all teams getting the same punishment for having any more than the captain go and talk to the referee.
Fair enough. Brian, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like, I don't know that a fine would really matter, and I think that a points deduction would be a little too much. But I mean, they should absolutely card people and send them off. Make sure that the respect is shown to the referee. Whatever our opinions may be on the referees, they're the ones out there. The players need to respect them.
Fair enough. Daniel, before you say anything, right, do you get a buzz out of what winding Mark up?
Yeah, I actually do.
I thought you did. I think you went a little bit too far there, mate, to be honest with you. Okay. But you fight your corner and Mark tries to fight his, but I genuinely think you went a little bit too far, but fair enough. We're getting near the end now anyway. What are your thoughts on the surrounding the officials point that Richard made?
I actually agree with what Richard said. Point deduction, probably.
Okay. Fair enough.
So,
Mark, do you want to say anything on that, mate?
I just think that the consistency is needed. This year, sorry, I don't know, I'm getting feedback of someone. This year, it was stated that the only players that could approach the referee was the captains, and that rule wasn't put in place. So rather than me speak shit, I'll just stay on mute. As Paul
I'm not
said,
saying, Mark.
no,
You're not talking. You're not talking shit.
Yeah,
Don't be silly.
you've got an
opinion, bro. You've got an opinion. Yeah, but you've got an opinion. You've got an opinion.
What should happen is there should be consistency. If the rules put in place at the start of the season, as Paul has dropped into the chat previously, keep that rule to the end of the season. Don't change the rule on the way through or relax it. It shouldn't be allowed.
Right.
But fines and all the rest, I think Richard's gone too far on that one.
Mark, you've segued me right into the last subject. Richard, I'm going to do this one if you don't mind. Consistency in games and from game to game. So it all comes down to consistency. Richard, give me your thoughts on this one, mate. I'll let you give thoughts first this time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you get two of the same type of foul in a game, you penalise both. If you get a similar one in 2 games time, it's a foul, no matter who the referee is and who the teams are. You get that consistency, and fans will not be so vociferous about this.
Mm-hmm.
We all want consistency in decision making.
Yep. Consistency, Daniel?
Yeah, we all want consistency in terms of officiating. But I don't think we'll actually get consistency in game of football because everybody has a perspective to how to judge a different situation. But what I believe we should be clamoring for good officiating. If you ask for consistency, we might not get that, but if we clamor for good officiating, I think we'll get that because every referee, like I said, they have the ways of judging things. So we're not going to get that consistent officiating from one game to another, but we can actually agitate for a good officiating.
Okay, thank you. Mark, I'm going to come to you about the consistency, mate. You kind of touched on it.
It's just for me, it's just whatever the rules are have to be set in stone for the whole entire season. And again, I'm going back to what Paul said. It has to be, it absolutely has to be like you can't change a rule during the season. I think all the points that Richard's made tonight, and we are coming to a close. The only one that really makes sense to me is the decision should be taken away from referees. And that way the consistency will be there because they won't have to be faced with making them or not making them. But we saw real changes last season for me that appalled me, and it appalls me for other teams as well as Arsenal. It's not just an Arsenal head-on. It appalls me across the Premier League. And they're human beings who don't deserve. If what Brian said was true, then...
Wait, you're agreeing with me?
No, I said if what Brian said, if there's a question mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Question mark. Daniel's lost it. He's totally lost it. I'm so by almost. if there is a question mark around referees, if you take that away from them, then it means that there's another body that is actually fully hearted responsible for what happens within a game of football. And at this moment in time, people can blame VAR, they blame referees, they bring in corruption. It's time that we took all that away. And there's just one head that we can say it's their fault. It's their fault. They're not good enough. We replace them, we move on. When you've got 4 or 5 bodies to do this with, it's hard to put your finger on who is actually at fault, and that for me is the final point. But brilliant show, guys.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the consistency? I'm going to let you have the final say out of the guests, so hit us with it, mate.
So Paul just posted something consistently inconsistent. Yes, it comes down to training. Yes, it comes down to trying to maintain the same standards. I would be okay with having the same referee call the game the same way. At least that way you know what you're going to get. There's way too much right now where a ref isn't going to call, ref's going to do a game on Wednesday and call it one way, and then has another game Saturday and call it a completely different way. As long as we know what we're going to get, then okay, that's the best we can do, and I'll take it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's brilliant, mate. Right, I just want to say, because I'm going to close this one in a second, guys. Richard, thank you for all the stuff you sorted out for this show. Thanks, mate. Just to reiterate, guys, these are just ideas. It doesn't mean that the PGMOL are going to implement them. Some would work, some wouldn't, but that's what you get with ideas, It's up to you to decide. Watch this back at another time if you want to, or even now, just decide and leave us a comment whenever you like on what you think. Yeah,
would work.
And
Put
you've
your
got
ideas in. If every single fan from every single club puts an idea forward, we may be able to improve the officiating for everyone.
Then the thing you've got to remember as well is, right, we are predominantly an Arsenal. Well, we are an Arsenal channel, but we want this for every single team in the Premier League. Yeah, it's not just aimed at Arsenal fans and Arsenal FC. It's aimed at every single, because that's when you get your consistency. That's part of the consistency as well. Okay, so I'm going to end this one, guys. Thank you for being with us tonight. If you've been in the chat or you've been watching on a platform, some real good views. Thank you very much. It makes it really, really good. Don't forget, on your way out, if you'd like to share and you'd like to subscribe and you'd like to hit the bell notification to see more arguments, more football talk, more passion. You're going to get it here in the North Bank. So give us a like and a sub on the way out and a share. You help the channel out with the algorithm and all that sort of stuff. Just have to say thank you now to my guests for tonight. Statman Richard, thanks for everything you've done, mate. Great show. Okay. Yeah. Have you got anything you want to say just quickly?
Yeah, thanks for everyone coming on, and thank you, Des, for hosting and setting up everything as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome, mate. It was a pleasure. Daniel, thank you for being on, mate. Controversial as always.
I ain't controversial. Like I said,
I think you are a little bit, but there we go. Brian, I hope your submarine doesn't sink, but thanks very much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. And Mark, I know you hate Yanks, but you love this one.
Oh, and also thanks for bringing on your red and yellow cards, mate.
I'm saying.
You've changed the rules there because you gave Daniel 4 yellow cards, I think.
You know what? I'm a shitty referee. That's all I can say.
You won't be taken on by the PGMOL, will you? Mark, thanks for coming on, mate. Shame you weren't here from the beginning. It would have been more interesting, I think, if you had been. But don't ever think that you haven't got an opinion, mate, because you have. You know that.
100%, guys. I appreciate the work that you're putting in. This is a topic that had to be brought up at some point. Well done, Richard, for your groundwork. Des, again, for your endless hours doing this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. The channel loves you guys for the work you're doing. Things are moving forward brilliantly, and there's going to be great changes getting made moving forward. So thank you so much. And Daniel and Brian, you're still a bunch of pricks.
Oh, Brian, I don't
So
think
long
you.
as,
Mark, you
Don't
get the
touch-
straight red for that one.
Yeah,
You get the straight red.
yeah.
See,
Mark, go and get your shower. Go and get your shower.
Mark, I'm gonna see you in the next show. Trust me, I'm gonna see you in the next show. Mark,
Don't forget as well this lovely hoodie. It's going to be Mark's one day. He's only got the only one in the country, guys. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So whoever's watching, listening, whatever you're doing, enjoy yourselves. Take care. Have a lovely night. And we'll see you now on the next show. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. And I'll speak to you soon. All right.